So, guys, this is the second episode of the Sunderland A.F.C podcast. I was trying to think of a decent name for this, actually. I've got Pete with me again after last week. Thankfully, Pete didn't seem to be depressed enough by last week's podcast, and we're actually doing another one. And, guys, Ben's here. Hey, so, how are you both doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, so, Ben, no pressure. You've got to have a good debut because I've bigged you up so much on this channel, so, you know. Anyway, I was going to say I want to quickly mention the story of how me, Pete, and Ben actually met, and it was away at Leicester, wasn't it? It was away at Leicester 2 years ago, where the year Leicester won the league. Basically, me and Pete decided let's go down to Leicester. It's the first day of the season. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. It was a bright sunny day. Then the football happened. That less said about that, the better. And basically, on the way back, I just kept trying to impersonate different managers, pretending like different managers were on the phone to Dick Advocat, and we're arranging Sunderland to give Knights of Norwich and Villa 3 points. Ben seemed to be half laughing at it, and then we seem to have gone from there. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about right, yeah. And it hasn't got better since.
Yeah. Worse, I know. Just when you think Sunderland have hit a low, you think, oh, don't worry, it can't get any worse. Oh, never mind. That went down the drain then. But anyway, as of the second recordings, this is on a Monday that we're doing this, we still haven't got a new owner or a manager yet. So this is pretty much fun. So what I figured we would do today is just go through the squad and just sort of look through to see who we would keep, who we would sell, what we would do, etc. And if anybody we've missed out, because we probably are going to miss somebody out because I'm not very good at organising, then feel free to let me know. So if you guys are ready for this, first of all, I'll quickly ask you, Ben, what did you think about Pickford's sale? Because obviously that's not long happened ago, although it's in media terms, it's probably a lifetime ago now, given that stories move on so quickly.
I think it's a good sale for Sunderland. Obviously we need the money as much as we can to wipe off some of the debt. And also I'm glad to see Pickford move, just because, you don't want to see him ruin his career at Sunderland, really. I do think that he will be a big Premier League player. He will be England's number one in the next 5 or 6 years very easily. So I'm glad to see Pickford go on and move his career on. But obviously, it's a shame for Sunderland to lose such a good goalkeeper.
Saying that though, like you've said yourself, me and Pete talked about this a bit last week. The debt we're in, and the fact that even if the money goes towards clearing the debt, it's still going to be a step closer towards trying to get this sorted once and for all, and then sort of hopefully trying to go on the up as a club, and then watch us lose our first 4 games in the Championship. So, we'll end up losing probably to Derby, Norwich, Sheffield Wednesday, and Leeds, won't we?
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. That's normally the way we start the season. I mean, how long have we not won a game in August for? It must be verging 6 years now, right?
Is it that short? I don't know. Is it not longer than that? Goodness me. We always seem to think, right, lads, no, we're still on our holidays, and then it's October. Shit. Teams have started to pull away from it. Right, let's start pulling our finger out of our backside now and actually start playing. All right, then.
Can I just point out, we're going to get absolutely hammered at Sheffield because I'm going, and every time I go away, we just get slaughtered. So
I don't know. You might have a chance because I'm not going. If I'm not going with you, because I don't know, because it's a midweek game. Obviously, guys, we've been playing on the Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday on a Wednesday. How funny is that? And we're probably at work. More than likely, I'll be at work unless that's the week I've taken off. I can't quite remember. If I go with you, we will definitely get hammered. So maybe we just need to send Ben on his own because he's seen us win 4-0 at Palace. So maybe we might go and get a 3-0 win at Sheffield Wednesday.
Well, I think I'm going down to the facility at Pete that day as well, so I'll try and keep him on the straight and narrow.
And not even shout, we signed him on a free. Who the F is he? Super Billy Jones.
Copy that stuff.
No, did you invent that, or did you steal it off, or did you copyright it off somebody else?
No, I seen it in the terraces in the South Stand and thought might as well join in.
Fair enough. All right then, we've actually been about 4.5 minutes in. We haven't even mentioned the squad yet, so let's get cracking. So the first position, obviously, I've got a list in front of me. It's probably an incomplete list, I hasten to add, but it's going to be at least something that we can go off. Really, might get the retained list while I'm up here. But anyway, we'll start off. Goalkeepers. So the first one would have been Jordan Pickford had we not sold him already. The first one is Vito Minoni, and this is one that I think certainly divides opinion among fans. I'll let either one of you two start on this one. What would you think about Vito Minoni? Would you be which side of the fence are you on in terms of keeping or selling?
Keep to me. Yeah, I'm a strong keep as well on Minoni. I think he's proved himself when he's had to come into the squad in the Premier League, so I can't see any reason why we should be letting him go. Yeah, what Ben said, he's definitely a Premier League goalie, so yeah, we need to keep hold of him.
Yeah, I don't blame either of you for thinking that. I think certain. I mean, has he not got his agent Roberto Di Fanti? I mean, obviously it's Roberto Di Fanti, so I don't know how much he actually knows about football, but he must know something if he's an agent of one of a couple of what now Championship but normally Premier League players. I think he mentioned that apparently I think he was going to try and leave the club, but I don't know what's going to be happening with that. As far as I'm concerned, I'd probably agree. I think I'm more on the side of keep than sell because I think people again exaggerate a lot when they say Minone is a horrendous keeper because I don't think he is. When he's poor, his form when he's in poor form, he is poor. But I think he has had very good patches as well, and I think Minone at his best is not far off Pickford's level. I think, but obviously he's one that's. I mean, he's one that just suffers from confidence, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, it's an easy decision for me. I think he's got to be our Championship number one, definitely.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think his career with Sunderland suffered ever since the 8-0 Southampton defeat all them years ago. And I don't think managers have ever had the trust in him. But certainly before that, I thought he did really well for us.
Yeah, I remember that. Just think because I wonder if it's because Minoni just stood there and just watched Virgini's spectacular own goal volley go past him. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment. That was just hilarious.
I think we were all in shock.
The sad thing is that game, I think I predicted us to get hammered on Facebook or something, and it was just because we didn't see it coming. But I went 4-0, and that even turned out to be generous. Never.
I remember being on the bus that day because I was in Sunderland and I stopped watching it at 4-0. And I was on the bus and I was on, I don't know if it was BBC Sport or what, or Sky, and loads of footballers kept popping up, more footballers kept popping up next to the goal scorer's name. So I was thinking, it can't be 8, because I counted 8 footballs. I was thinking, nah, it can't be 8-0. I think it's got it confused with subs or something, like the wrong icon.
Yeah.
The bus driver just went, he must have been Newcastle fan, he just went, it's 8-0 Southampton. I'm like, oh my God.
Sunderland always fight. So whenever Sunderland are catastrophic, whenever Sunderland just capitulate, they do it in style, don't they? They don't just they can't just do it in any normal way. They just lose 3 or 4-0. No, they go and lose 8-0 to Southampton. Then we're going 4-0 down to Burnley. Just great. I mean, like I said, but I mean, back on track. I mean, well, actually, that was funny. Minoni was playing that game. I think Minoni, when he hasn't got confidence, you can definitely see that he's a player that suffers from lack of confidence occasionally in his game. I think as well when he is on good form though, he is very good, and I would agree that I'll be more on the side of keep than sell. But if we were to sell him, given the fact again that is a good chance that he might be on decent wages as well, if he was to go, what would be your minimum benchmark in terms of what we would get as a fee? Because again, we are going to be on this model that we can't make losses on players. So and we paid $2 million for Minoni, if my memory serves me rightly. So I'd like to think we would get a profit on him if we sold him.
Probably 6 million. So I'd say a little bit shorter. I'd go, maybe 3 to 4.5 million on Minoni. Just judging by other keepers' values.
I think I'd probably be in the middle of the two of you actually. I think I'd probably say about 5. I think if we got about 5, I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility. I think we would probably I would imagine that we would look to try and get that. Although we do have to remember as well that if with this new German takeover that could happen, or whenever the takeover happens, if Martin Bain's not here, that whole model of trying to sell for profit might be scrapped. But I hope it isn't, because we need to start doing that to try and save ourselves. But anyways, right, we'll move on from Minoni. So I think, are we safe to say that you guys both say keep for the new season?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'd say more to 2 of them, but if we got a good fee for him and say got, I don't know, John Ruddy in to replace him, I wouldn't be against the idea of selling him, but I would definitely say keep more so. Okay, next one. Right, now, bearing in mind, I think Pete has watched him quite a bit. Me and Ben, I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, Ben, I don't think we've seen much of him. Mika. So I'm relying on Pete to sort of tell us how brilliant he is. So go for it.
I'd say sell him and bring in another number 2, unless you give the kids the number 2 jersey. No, when I've watched him for the under-23s, I just think
his distribution is very poor. His handling of the ball, like in terms of collecting the ball from cross, isn't great. General shot stopping, not that good. He doesn't fill you full of confidence. Obviously, as a goalkeeper, you need your goalkeeper to fill you with confidence. And if he can't impress for the under 23s, I mean, what we doing for the 40,000? You know what I mean? I don't think he's got the nerve, to be honest. Yeah, I'd sell him.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't know enough about him, but I'll just base it purely off what you've said and sell him. But is there anybody that's going to want to take him off us?
Well, maybe a club from abroad, maybe a foreign club, but
who knows? Who knows? Maybe a Premier League club who's maybe desperate for numbers might think, oh, he's been at Sunderland when they were in the Premier League. Has he done anything? No, let's just go and get him anyway. Just do a Sunderland model. We're desperate. Oh, look, he was okay. He was okay for 5 minutes for the under-23s at Sunderland. Let's go and sign him.
As long as if Mika plays in pre-season against, I don't know, Bradford, for example, and one of the Sunderland scouts goes and watches him, and he says, no, sorry, one of the Sunderland scouts goes and watches Mika goes out on loan, and he goes, oh, actually, I would recommend this goalkeeper to Sunderland, and he does a bloody Joe Kinney and realises, oh, he's already on loan.
I remember that. That was a monumental cock-up on Joe Kinnear's part. How he got a director of football, it's Mike Ashley, never mind. Anyway, okay, so I mean, is there anything you want to add on Mika, Ben? I mean, I can't really add anything. Pete pretty much knows a lot more about him than I do.
Yeah, judging on Pete's reaction to him, I think Pete's quite a trustworthy football analyst, and yeah, I wouldn't keep him. I wouldn't keep Mika.
Fair enough. Pete's our executive scout. We need to just put like hashtag exclusive Sunderland FC podcast. Hashtag exclusive. Pete has inside information. Yeah. That's pretty much all journalists do on Twitter these days. Okay then, we'll move on from Mika then. So let's have a look. So now this is where it gets interesting. Oh god, defenders. Right, okay. Me and Pete have had massive debates about this guy. I think Ben's probably going to be in the middle of the two extremes. I don't know. He's probably sick of hearing us talk about it. Billy Jones. So I'll let Pete put his case forward first.
Well, obviously, I'm not the biggest fan, but because of the situation the club's in, and we've got obviously put in the championship to compete, we need a big squad. So, and I don't think there'll be many right backs better than in that division. There'll be a few, but I want there'll be a lot. So, no, I'd keep Billy Jones solely for the reason we need a big squad in the championship.
Fair enough, Ben.
Yeah, I'm 100% with keeping Billy Jones. I think he's the type of player who will do his job well, but he can't do much else. But we don't. In the Premier League, it's a different kettle of fish to being in the Championship. The games come thick and fast, as Pete said, and yeah, we need a big squad rotation. So I would definitely keep Billy Jones.
I think I'm more of the same. I think, given the fact, I think Billy Jones, if I remember right, he's got 1 year left on his contract, and I just can't help but think. If I was listening to Into the Light, one of the podcasts that they do with Micah, Stephen Goldsmith, etc., do with Michael Proctor, and he was basically talking about that if an offer came in for Billy Jones from say a newly promoted side, what type of offer would it take to sell him? And given that he's got a year left on his contract, if we got an offer of say $1 million, I'd probably sell him personally because I think again we're in a position where we need to get money on players, and you can replace him in a free agent market as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Phil Bardsley I think has just gone from Stoke. So, and we all know how good he was for us. And even if he's past it now, I would imagine Phil Bardsley in the Championship would do just as good a job as what Billy Jones would. So if that was the scenario, I would sell Billy Jones. But as for now, I agree with you too. Yeah, we need a big squad. And I don't think Billy Jones is a horrendous right back either. I don't get me wrong, he has got issues. His closing down crosses isn't very good. But again, he will play out of his skin. One thing you need in the Championship is you need players who fight and will give you 100%. And it's such a cliche because, as you two know, up here, to be fair, us and Newcastle fans as well, we both demand 100% from players, which I think is a fair expectation, or at least players who actually give a monkeys. Billy Jones, I think, cares in abundance. And while his closing down crosses isn't good, he intercepts pretty well for me, and he actually just clears the ball. Sounds basic, but sometimes you just need your fullback to do those things.
Yeah, going back to your point about if you would let him go for $1 million, Billy Jones, would that not apply to every player in our squad at this very moment? That if we actually got the right amount for them, would you let them go?
You could argue that. I mean, every amount's different, subjective, depending on what player's contract situation is, what their reputation's like, what age they are. as well.
Ultimately, everyone is up for sale in our squad at this moment in time.
I bet that would go down well with. Actually, probably would go down well with fans, wouldn't it? Given the last season we've just had. I don't know. I think I've just put $1 million down for Billy Jones, like a hypothetical figure, because it could be, again, if he had more than 1 year on his contract, I'd expect probably a bit more. But it just depends. But I mean, I would tell you what, we'll stay on the subject of defenders now. This is one.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know how people's reaction is going to be to this. By the way, I'm not including the likes of Jermaine Defoe. I've already said my piece about Jermaine Defoe. Papi Delboggi, Lamine Kone, and the likes of Fabio Bruni, who I think is looking like he's probably going to go to Lazio, subject to the deal actually going through. Kone, we all know, is not going to be here come the end of the window, and I don't think anybody wants him to be here. So I'm leaving those three out purposefully. But the defender I'm going to look at is Papi Delboggi. So. Oh boy, where do we start with this one? Right, go on then.
Go on, Ben. You start.
Yeah, Delboggi, I think he's an absolute klutz when he's the ball.
Klutz, I like that phrase.
I remember Tottenham away this season. That kind of just summed the guy up. I mean, I remember someone sitting next to me that game saying, he's still a young kid, and I looked at his age and he's late 20s.
I know.
So I can't see Delboggi improving. So, if we got the right offer, for him, I would be letting him go because I don't think he'd be able to handle the toughness of the Championship.
No, especially the physicality of that league as well.
Of
I think that would be. I think Delboggi would probably. This is an interesting one for me because I actually think at home he probably could be quite good. And hear me out on this. The reason I think that is because I think not every team, obviously, but some teams I think will come to the Stadium of Light and not part the bus, but they'll certainly not go gung ho all out attack at us. I think some of them would probably come and sit back a bit. And Delboggi, when he's on the ball, actually, I think Delboggi is actually quite good. But the big question is off the ball because his positional awareness seems to be quite poor. He doesn't seem, for some reason, to be able to head or clear a ball away, and I don't understand that. You're 27 years old. How on earth do you not know how to do the basics of defence? Even if you don't speak the language of English, you must have. If you've played the game that long, you would have probably played the game about 5-10 years probably for his career. How he doesn't know how to do those things, I don't know. But I think I'd agree with Ben probably. I was defending him for early part of last season, but then I've just since come to the realization everyone else is right. He's not very good. So he might be. Who knows? He could be one that could do well in the Championship, I suppose. But if the right offer came in for him, and I'd say at least what we paid for him, which is $8 million, then sell him if we can get that. If someone's stupid enough to pay it. What about you? What about you, Pete? Then, because I know you're not a big fan of him either.
I'm the same as Ben actually. If we get a good enough offer, sell him. But like I say, you need a big squad in the Championship. I'd like to think he'd be a lot better in the I think he would be a lot better in the Championship than he would be in the Premier League because for starters, he wouldn't be marking, your likes of Aguero, Harry Kane, Lukaku, Sanchez. If we get a good enough offer for him, definitely sell him. I don't think we'll get nowhere near the fee that we bought for him. But
do you reckon?
No, I'm saying I don't think we would. Nowhere near it. No one would pay. I don't even think anyone would pay over $5 million for him, to be honest.
I don't know. I think people will be desperate for. I think people will be desperate for players in today's market, especially for. I mean, the promoted clubs. I could honestly see one of the promoted clubs potentially going for him. By the way, that's just based on a hunch. There's nothing concrete about it. I just think that in today's market, I just think people would be prepared to pay that for him. But I've been wrong plenty of times. Just saying.
I'll say keep based on the fact we haven't got many other good centre backs at the club left, and also we need a squad.
Subject on what you mean by good.
Well, Cody is leaving. Was going to leave. Denaya's left. When he got that leave John O'Shea, didn't it? So
yeah, fair enough then.
Just getting on, so I'll keep him based on that reason. Yeah.
I mean, if we kept him for the Championship and started him, I wouldn't complain with him necessarily because I do think he could do a job in that division. But maybe he's one of those. I mean, if you look at, I know this is a different position, but you look at Abel Hernandez at Hull. When he first signed for them, I don't think he hit the ground running in the Premier League, and then they got relegated, and he scored like over 22 odd goals in the Championship. So position's different, but I just think in games where Delboggi would have time on the ball, I think he could be quite good. But obviously, there's a lot of coulds, buts, and possibilities.
I'd rather have better, but the situation we're in, I'll say keep.
Fair enough. I'd say sell if we got a good enough offer for him. Otherwise, I'd give him a chance in the Championship to see how he does. Okay, Now this is quite relevant actually because he's been in the news recently. John O'Shea, because you mentioned him earlier. I'll start with this one. John O'Shea, I think. Again, in the situation where we're going to repeat this a lot, guys, so I apologise for that. We're going to repeat this a lot. I'm saying we need a squad in the Championship, which we do. I think John O'Shea, I wouldn't have anywhere near the starting 11 personally, but I think in some capacity he would be quite handy to have at the club in some role, because I think even if it's a bit par player for the dressing room, I think he would certainly be one I would keep, and I think. Maybe playing him in the cup games or something. I don't know. I mean, I think his legs have gone. I think he's way past it now. We shouldn't really be relying on John O'Shea. But I think in the Championship, his experience, I think, could be handy for that. Even though I don't think he's played. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's played in that division before or been associated with the Championship before. But I just feel like he would have a role to play in some way, shape, or form. But so I'd say keep, but I wouldn't start him.
Yeah, I'd say a keep for the experience. I think his legs have been going over the past few years. That ultimately showed last year. But yeah, I think the experiential factor from in the dressing room. I'm assuming we're going to be buying a lot of young players if we ever get the manager in, of course. And we're going to be ultimately using under 23 players who have very little experience of playing, at a level of the Championship slash Premier League. So yeah, I think for the experience factor, keep them.
Yeah, I'd agree with what you said. Give me a keep him. In terms of starting him, it all depends who we bring in. If we bring in someone young and a good defender, then obviously, I wouldn't start him. But based on the fact that I completely agree with what Ben said, I think it's becoming very clear now that his legs have gone. Even more so last year. In terms of starting him, I wouldn't like to start, but it depends. Like I say, it depends on the financial situation who we're bringing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm basing that off the assumption that we're going to sign players. If the squad was as it is now, you'd have Dillaborgi and O'Shea starting together. But I mean, people got to remember you got Paddy McNair coming back, and Paddy McNair, if I remember rightly, could play at centre half. So who knows? Maybe McNair and Dillaborgi might be a world class pairing in that league. I don't know.
I'd like to say, if I'm being honest, because we've all said keep Dillaborgi, keep O'Shea, maybe depends on the offers. I'd like to think if we do keep them both, I wouldn't like them playing together. I'd like one or the other. I don't think either of them are good enough, so I'd maybe maybe say Dillaborgi starting in a new signing or O'Shea starting alongside a new signing.
Well, you might have to rotate between the two of them, wouldn't you, though? Because you're going to have, I mean, in 1 week in August, we'll probably have like 3 games in a week. We'll probably have Norwich, and then Sheffield Wednesday, then Leeds. So you're going to need squad rotation. The only difference is, are you going to have the right understanding and the right team chemistry together? I know I sound like ultimate team here, but you'd need that sort of rotational options, especially with 1 or 2 in. We found out to our cost last year, injuries bugger you completely if you don't have anyone to replace them. So
I mean, I think you can rotate a lot of the team, but I always think rotating centre backs is a bit of a dangerous game because ultimately they're your protection, and I think everything stems from the back. And I would really disagree with the rotation of centre backs, definitely in a long season.
Yeah, I mean, if you had the players who still knew each other's game and knew each other's roles and knew each other inside out, basically, then I wouldn't be against the idea of rotating. But I do agree with you though that I think centre backs and defence in particular, it's very, very risky rotating it because I mean, if you look, I think when we played Burnley away last year, which me and Pete had the lovely fortune of going to see us get beat 4-1. Didn't Coney and O'Shea start that game or something? And then I think Coney went off injured. Dillaborgi came on, and the rest of it is, well, history. I don't really want to go back into that again. But I think that would emphasise Ben's point that you need a good relationship between your two centre backs, especially because otherwise it's just going. You look at Brown and O'Shea; they didn't have the legs, but they at least had the know-how and how each other played and how their game worked. So, right, we'll move on from that then. God Christ, we've nearly reached the 25 minutes. We haven't even got into midfielders yet. Right, we'll quickly whiz through the last couple of defenders. We'll classify Paddy McNair. Right, Paddy McNair is the next defender. What would you two say for that? Because obviously he was starting to play all right. I know he's in midfield, but I'm going to classify him as a defender just purely for the sake of this, and partly because this is what the list in front of me says he is, even though he probably isn't. Right, anyone here? Paddy McNair, thoughts?
we haven't seen him play this season. Obviously, he's been injured, so we can't judge him. I'd say keep him in. Going to be obviously because we've been in the championship. I like to think that he'll more than suit that level. I don't know. I like to think that's. I was going to say that I like to think that's his level. I think he could do better than that level actually. I mean, I've been looking at him during pre-season. He looks good. He looks. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of him YouTube, but I mean, he looks big. He looks well put together. He looks like he's getting himself in shape. He looks fit.
He definitely looks better than what I've seen. I mean, I've only seen little, not gifs, but like little Snapchat things or little Instagram things that the clubs put up. But he does look in better shape than what he did when he first came. Definitely.
I know this is QPR in the cup, but QPR's in our league now. So I mean, obviously he got a couple of goals there last year from midfield, two decent finishes. So maybe he has got goals in his game if he is to play in midfield. But no, I think he deserves a chance. Even if I had a small squad, even if I had a big squad, I'd definitely keep him there either way. I think he'd be a good addition in the championship next season. But it's too early to tell because we haven't seen him play enough. But yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I think for obviously the amount of money that we spent on him and Donald Love, I think we should be keeping him for the championship, which is obviously I think it's his league. I saw him play at QBR last season, and I thought he ruled in midfield pretty well. So yes, definitely.
I'd agree. I think certainly. I think Paddy. I mean, if I remember right, I think Paddy McNair was coming into his own last year before he actually did get in. He was very unfortunate to get injured actually, and that's pretty much dictated his season. And I think from there, the championship could be what he needs to get a big bit of confidence back up again. Because he was unlucky at his debut against Man City with the own goal, but I think he only came on with that the last 5 minutes to go. But I just think, if you're going to sell them, what was the point in purchasing them? And I know it's obviously because David Moyes was there. We had a certain model. That was what we were going for, and then it could be a completely different identity. We've got to remember, new manager might not fancy half the players we say to keep, but I think with McNair, we've bought him for a reason. And you don't play at Man United's first team level if you haven't got anything about you. Mind you, Januzaj played there, so who knows? But McNair, I think it's safe to say, guys, we're definitely on the side of keep. How about the player who was brought in with him, Donald Love?
Donald Trump's long lost son.
That's very oh, come on. Donald Love doesn't deserve that. That's a big disservice to compare them.
No, I think, Michael, when we spoke the other day, you touched upon it. When he has played in the Premier League, he's been decent. I remember against Watford, I hope he was very good. I think his last game he played, very poor. But besides that, actually, I'll say this for every position. I think in the Championship, you need probably two players at least in every position to pick from. Obviously, we're not. Quite I'm trying to get my words out. We might not be in the situation to do that, obviously, because of the finances. But I'd like to think Love would be maybe number two to Billy Jones. Obviously, like I say, the Championship, he played for Preston, I know that was in League One, he done all right there. So, yeah, I'd keep him. He's young, he's got a lot to learn, but no, I don't see any reason why we should let him go. So.
Yeah, you've pretty much hit the nail on the head for me, I think, certainly with Love. I think against Bournemouth, I wasn't there actually for the Bournemouth game where we got relegated. But I think Donald, correct me if I'm wrong, was Donald Love not asked to play at the very, very last minute? So that probably might be why. That may end up being why he looks so poor. I mean, like I said, the only poor game I remember seeing that I've watched him was Borough, the first home game. He did look very shaky there for me. But I think other than that, I thought against Man City, his debut, I thought he played quite well. I thought he did quite well against Watford at Christmas. So I think there is something there. And I think in the Championship, it might be the case. I don't know what you think, Ben, but I think we might be at the case where Billy Jones may start the Championship season, but we may gradually look to integrate Donald Love into that start 11. Donald Love's younger, got more to learn, probably got a bit more pace than Billy Jones, and there's more years ahead of him. I mean, obviously, it just depends. I mean, ask you what you think about Donald Love, about whether we keep or sell.
No, I agree. I agree with Pete's point, definitely. I think he should be a one that stays. I just think he needs a different mentality, so to speak. It's a lack of confidence, I think, that hindered him last season. So hopefully, he's played at the Championship level before. I think he played for Wigan in League One as well. So, he knows the Football League. He knows what it's about. So I'd be confident with Donald Love. Actually, I'd be more confident with Donald Love starting over Billy Jones. I'm going to put that one out there.
Ooh, okay. All right then. I mean, I'd be content with either. I think I'd still prefer to just slightly go with Billy Jones, but I wouldn't complain if Donald Love ended next season as our first choice right back. And I think, given the fact that in the Championship, I'd like to hope he would be on a team that's winning more regularly. That will get his confidence up. So,
yes, definitely, yeah.
you know, the last defender I will bring up, based on this list, in fact, unless I've looked at the retain list, the last defender I will bring up is another right back, but one that is actually there's two more defenders to think about. The last right back, one that we kind of forget's here actually, Adam Matthews. I completely forgot he was here until a couple of weeks ago. So
I forgot about it.
yeah. So who wants to start that one?
Yeah, I'll go for it. I think Adam Matthews, he's obviously played in the Championship quite a lot for Bristol City, I think. So yeah, I would definitely keep Adam Matthews. I don't see why we should be getting rid of people with good experience in that league. You know, he was a good defender when he came to Sunderland. I just don't think he was given the fair crack at the whip, so to speak. I think he was dismissed very quickly.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I think I remember when we all went to Leicester, that game I was mentioning earlier. I don't know what happened there. I remember going to Leicester, the game we mentioned, the game after where we actually first met. And I think that game I think he was brought on by Dick Advocat very, very late on, but I think it was more about, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of, I was of the opinion of keeping him, but I tell you, actually, you mentioned the Championship experience thing, Ben. I'm actually looking at his stats right now. 2016 Bristol City loan, he made 9 appearances, and then 2016, I think it's the second loan spell at Bristol City, he made 6 appearances. So he actually hasn't. So he hasn't actually played. He hasn't played that much. Come to think of it, I'm just having a quick look here. Let's see. And apparently he was fine. He was dropped for turning up late to a training session. So I was of the opinion, oh well, let's keep him. However, based on those stats, I'm not as convinced now. But again, are we going to get a decent offer for them? That's the point. I'd be open to giving Matthews a chance. I do agree with what you said, where he was cut out to dry far too quickly and was sort of written off too quickly. But he does need to step it up, put it that way, if we are going to use him. But given that you've got two other right backs there, he's probably the one that we would target to sell the most. And I think he's probably got the longest left on his contract. Actually, might he? No, it's probably Donald Love. He's certainly got longer than Billy Jones has. So, that's a tricky one. What about you, Pete? What about Adam Matthews?
Adam Matthews. What Ben said was a good point. To be honest, I forgot he was here. When we signed him originally, when we made him a Celtic support, I said, "Oh, you've got a very good signing on your hands there. Apparently he's quick. He was quick. Good defender as well. But obviously, then it didn't really work out for him. I don't think. Well, according to what I've seen, he hasn't set the world alight at Bristol City. In terms of keep or sell, I'm not going to answer that yet. I'll give him pre-season. Obviously, every player needs to impress in pre-season to cement a place for first game of the season against Derby. So I'd give him pre-season and see how he fits in then. I'd give him quite a few games in pre-season. Let him start, see how he gets on, give him a fair crack. And if he doesn't do well, then you can't see he hasn't been given a fair opportunity.
Fair enough.
I'm in the middle, I'd say. Give him a chance, that's what I'd say.
Okay then. Well, that concludes defenders, so we'll move swiftly on here. Okay, midfielders now. I'm mainly going through the first team guys, by the way. Obviously, we might go through a couple of youth players at the end if we've got time, but I'm mainly talking about first team players here. So, the midfielders, the one I want to talk about first of all the most is probably the one that's going to cause hopefully an interesting discussion here. Jack Rodwell. As we know, he is the only player out of the current Sunderland squad that got relegated to not have the relegation clause in his contract, where I think his wages get cut by 40%, whatever it is. If I remember someone saying he's on 60 grand a week, then Jack, I was originally open to the idea of keeping Rodwell because I felt in the Championship he might actually do it in that league. Now, having heard that, the fact that he's now on 60 grand a week makes me think that even if we get 1 million for him at best in transfer fee, get rid of him because he doesn't do anything. He's always injured. His confidence is shot to pieces, and that 60 grand we could use elsewhere to get better players to help us get back up, or try to anyway.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he'd do well in the Championship. I think he would do well in the Championship, but I agree with your point. He's never fit. That's the point. If a team's stupid enough to pay money for him, like a decent amount of money for him, yeah, then sell him, and we can go and get someone else who, like you say, will play hard for the jersey and will keep themselves fit. If he wasn't always injured, I'd have him in the Championship, obviously, because I think he'd do well in that league. But the fact is, he's never fit. So yeah, if we get a good fee for him, sell him. But depends on the fee.
Depends how much you get for him, really, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much would depends how much would he get?
I think you'd take half of what we paid for him at this point, judging on performances and his obviously injury record. I don't think you'll get anywhere near above 5 million for Jack Rodwell right now.
To be honest, I don't even think you'd get that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you'd probably be lucky to get 3.5 at absolute maximum for him. I think he's just one that. The thing is, to me, I do maintain the point with Rodwell that I do still feel there is a player in there. It's just the fact that, again, like Minoni to a much bigger degree and in much bigger context, his lack of confidence is there. But again, that stems from being injured all the time. But there does come a point where, in fact, I was on the Wise Men Say podcast last year, and Graham Anderson, the former Echo journalist, was on there, and he made a very good point that if you're going to sign a player for 10 million, you're going to need him to influence games. And Jack Rodwell, for all that I do want him to succeed, he just doesn't influence matches. I'd like to think he might do in the Championship, but again, like I said before, with that wages that he's on, wages is what cripples us more than anything else with regard to the debt that we're in. And if you're going to have 60 million, Christ.
Michael, I remember we got on the bus at Leicester, the same game again, and we had a frank conversation about Rodwell, and he made the point that he was going to come good, and we're still waiting now.
Yeah, shows what I know, doesn't it? I did mention that about David Moyes. I was adamant of that for about 3/4 of last season. So who knows? Maybe I'll just not say anything from now on.
I just think playing Rodwell in the squad doesn't do anything great for mentality either. He's a player who went on an abysmal run of form and not winning a game. I think he's quite a negative aspect to have, like many things. So I'm firmly get rid on Rodwell.
Can't say I blame you for that. Okay, well, I would probably say get rid if we can find anyone who's deluded enough and brainwashed enough to go and pay anything like a couple of million for him. So I don't know. I mean, Pete, what would you say? Are you of the opinion of sell or keep?
I can't believe what you just told me a minute ago. I forgot that he's on 60 grand a week.
That's if I remember rightly, but I think it's around about that figure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, sell him if we get a good fee for him. But if not, then don't bother. Because
yeah, at this point, I'd just take 2-3 million for him. I know I'm usually of the opinion that you're going to have to try and make profits on players, but there's no way we're going to make a profit on Rodwell. It'll be the biggest. Put it this way, it'll be a miniature version of Tottenham paying 30 million for Sissoko if we get over 10 million for Rodwell. So, not more to say there. Right, couple of these two. I mentioned these two midfielders at the same time because they're both players that I think would be very, very good at this level. Lee Cattermole's one of them. No one's going to get away from my affinity and my love for Lee Barry Cattermole. He's just a god. He just is. And and Didier, doesn't make me sound gay or anything, does it? And Didier Ndong. Now I mentioned. Oh, if only. If only. We might get Didier Drogba when he's like 43 or something. I don't know, he might not even be far off that age, come to think of it. So who knows? Didier Drogba, if you end up without a club, you fancy a championship, give us a call. I don't know if I haven't put him off already. Sorry?
He's currently residing in the American Championship at the moment, I think, Didier Drogba.
Oh, come on, Drogba. Come play in front of 40,000. Come and play in front. Well, probably, who knows, at this rate, it might be 20, 30,000 in the championship. But I mentioned Cattermole and Ndong at the same time, and I say this. Cattermole is another one that divides opinion, but I think I can understand the argument with Cattermole where people say that he is a liability to a degree. He is a liability. If it's not in terms of suspension, it's in terms of injury. He has been a bit injury prone, but I just think, as opposed to Rodwell, who can be like a negative mood around the place, I think Cattermole's exactly the opposite. I think he's one that gives a place to kick up the arse that they need. You only need to look at his reaction at Norwich, actually, when we won 3-0. Hopefully the same in August when we go there. Same for a win. But when I think we were 2-0 up, and I think Van Aanholt, surprise, didn't do his job properly defensively, and Cattermole went ballistic at him. That's the sort of even if he's not playing as much, that's the sort of attitude we need. And for the dressing room, I think that could be so huge. But when he does play, I think he's actually quite an underrated player. I think he breaks up play quite well, passes the ball well, can distribute it quite well at times, and just more than anything, just gets people up for it. And sometimes you need people like that. And I think if you couple that with Ndong's energy, which I think in his first year, he was one of the few players to come away with any credit for me. I think Catamol and Ndong, if whatever formation you play, if you played a 4-2-3-1, if Catamol and Ndong, I've said this to Pete hundreds of times, if Catamol and Ndong are at the heart of that midfield and are in the two, it's a 4-2-3-1, if Catamol and Ndong are the two in that formation, and we keep that fit for regular, it's a big if we keep that fit for majority of the season, I'd feel much better going into the championship if those two were starting every week. So personally, keep the pair of them at all costs for me.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think in the championship you need leaders, don't you? You need people who play with energy, and I think Catamol and Ndong have that way down to a T. So I think they complement each other quite well. To be honest, going through this team so far, you could say I'm very worried. I mean, based on the fact, and these are the only two players I've mentioned so far where it makes me think, oh well, midfield's not an issue. As in, we probably need another centre mid based on the fact Catamol's always injured. So is Gibson. And so is Bodwell.
Yeah.
We can make that two new centre mids, but no, I think that's in terms of starting anyway, that's the one position I'm not worried about so far. But all the rest of it seems like we've a hell of a lot of work to do, obviously. But yeah, keep for me. I mean, Catamol's a leader. He's a backbone. In the championship, you need a backbone. And I think Ndong would be absolutely outstanding in that division. He gets around the pitch well, and he offers you that, I don't know, I think he's a threat. I'm not saying he's a threat going forward with the ball, but he's busy, isn't he? He's
in the championship, he might be a threat, I think. I think certainly, and Ndong, just as simple as this is, he looks for the ball. And although his passing's a bit iffy, that comes with age, I think. That comes with experience. And I think in the championship, it could be a year that makes it. Say if I'm going really hypothetical here, if we sell Ndong for a massive profit in a couple of years' time, we could look at if we come straight back up, we could look at that season in the championship and think that was the season that made him.
Yeah, I'd be furious if we sold Ndong, actually.
So would I.
Even for a decent fee, I'd be furious because we need him. We need him and Catamol in this division. So yeah, keep them both here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you. I think the championship's platform definitely for Ndong to propel himself into that next stage of his career. I think Catamol will act as a good tutor to him, I suppose, because Catamol has the experience of being down there. He understands what the game means, especially to the fans here. And yeah, I think they complement, like Pete said, I think they complement each other quite well. Catamol breaks the ball up really well. And, his distribution has got better in the last 3 or 4 years, I think. And also what, the national media don't give Catamol credit for is his disciplinary record actually is improved. I think in the last few years, less red cards. So I'd definitely be confident going into the championship with them two in the middle of the park for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just, I would go as far to say that if you had Lee Catamol and, sorry, I'm just looking at his Wikipedia page, there's Lee Barry Catamol, I'm just having a real heartfelt moment here just looking at that name. I'm not making myself sound any good, am I? I think if you're going to have those two, like I said before, you have those two at the heart of your championship midfield, I think I would feel much better going into it. And I think if you add a couple of match-winning players around them, I just think that those two would be so vital for us in that division. I really do. And I think if we're gonna do anything in the championship, those two are keep at all costs. I'm just looking at his disciplinary record. I'm trying to find it anyway. I can't remember. I don't remember exactly what the statistics say. But when was the last time Catamol got a red card? Because people who look at his disciplinary record can actually conveniently forget that. I think it's quite a few years ago that he was sent off.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, Catamol's got that passion, and I think Ndong's just got that energy. I'll put a statement out with Ndong, and this can, by all means, guys, you in the comments as well, feel free to bite me on the backside in a year's time if I'm proven wrong. I think I think Ndong will be like the N'Golo Kante of the championship this coming season if we keep him.
Yeah.
I think he will be. I honestly don't see any reason why he can't be.
Right, I'll tell you what. I'll push it out one more. I think he's the best midfielder in the championship. There you go.
Okay then, I'll hold you to that. Right, Ben, you've got something to hold us both to then, unless you want to make a statement that we can then hold each other to.
I'm just going to keep quiet on Ndong for now.
Okay, fair enough then. You made the sensible decision. We've put ourselves out there for stick later, probably. Okay, well, you mentioned.
Ask me after 4 games.
Yeah, have to go bottom. Just go, we're bottom of the league. Oh my god. Remember me and Pete made a joke, if we beat Derby, we can sing we're top of the league because no one else has played. Alright then. Right, next one. Now, Pete mentioned him earlier. I think one of you two mentioned him earlier. Darren Gibson. Yeah, another injury-prone player. Wonderful. Darren Gibson, there's a funny one for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he is a funny one. I think Moyes obviously had a lot of faith in him, which makes me devalue him a lot, considering what happened last season. But yeah, he's got the experience in the Premier League, but I think his legs have gone well and truly. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't think he contributes much to our team at all.
So you seen get rid?
Yes, I'm saying firm get rid. Yeah.
Right. I think me and Ben are gonna have our first disagreement. To be fair.
Oh, go on then.
We've agreed on the one so far, but I agree with Ben. I don't know what he does offer. I wouldn't say, like, in terms of, I'd keep, like I say, only because we've got a small squad.
That's going to be our catchline, isn't it? Oh, we'll keep him, but only because we've got a small squad.
Yeah, I mean, we're desperate. We haven't got no money to spend, or hardly any money to spend, and we've got a small squad as it is. And like you say, Barini, Coney, Defoe, Kasri are probably all going to leave as well. So, I'd only say keep him based on the fact I think he offers something different to current midfielders. I wouldn't say he's scared to have a shot. He does have a decent strike in him. Passing, not too bad. He's been all right at times. He's not bad on the ball. And he doesn't give it away as much. In terms, it depends what formation we play. If we play the formation we just said, 4-2-3-1, then no, definitely don't start him. Maybe if it's a 4-3-3, maybe put him in midfield with Catmull and then Dog. So I'm going to say keep based on the fact he offers something different. But,
okay, well, looks like I'm casting inside and vote, so no pressure there. Sorry, Ben, I'm going to have to agree with Pete on this one. I do see where the argument comes from that the Gibson's injury record for a start is concerning. But I do think when people say that Gibson's been awful since he signed, again, I think it's taken a little bit of a stretch. I do think that Gibson hasn't offered as much as I would have liked. However, I'd agree with Pete. I think he passes the ball. His passing's actually okay, actually. The games I've watched him, he's been half decent. And I think he's not scared to have a shot. And if you've got to remember in the Championship, the quality of defence and the quality of goalkeepers isn't going to be anywhere near as good as what it's going to be in the Premier League. So don't be surprised to see Gibson score a few goals next year if he plays. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I actually think and again, Gibson could be allowed, especially at home, to dictate play if he's going to be starting, because we might end up be given more time on the ball. His injury record, I said, is a concern, but I would probably just say keep at the minute, unless you got like a really good offer for him, which I've said before. If you get a really good offer for him, then I'd be up for selling him. But for now, I'd say keep more than sell. But I can see why I can see sort of where Ben's coming from.
I just think he's such a vanilla player. He's there if nothing else is there. I think that's the way I see it.
That's like Rodwell, isn't it? You could say that's like Rodwell.
Yeah. Do you know what? Funny enough, both come from Everton. I think I've had enough of Everton players after last season. I don't want any more Everton players.
I can just imagine you're like, oh, hang on, we've signed Romelu Lukaku. Ben's like, no, don't want any more Everton players. No, sorry.
It's not what Everton do to them; it's what we do to them.
Yeah.
You should just have an advertisement at the stadium. Like, say, would you like to come here and effectively ruin your career? Then this is the perfect opportunity for you. Dave, just be honest at least. Okay, here's one. Right now, I'm not going to. Well, Breeze cluster forward on you. Okay, here's one. I backed Moyes throughout most of last season. However, throughout that whole period where I was on his side, this is one thing he did that I heavily disagree with, and I still continue to disagree with. He's a player that's probably going to be away, but he's for me, we should do all within our power to keep Wabi Kasri. So I'll start this one very quickly, and well, try to be quick anyway for me. Kasri, for me, I don't know why on earth Moyes didn't use him. I understand people could say, "Oh, his attitude might stink," but Allardyce wouldn't tolerate crap attitudes, and yet Allardyce used him. So I think Kasri, even though I think it was Lequip put in the article that said he was probably wanting to leave the club, Fair enough, he probably is going to leave, but I just think he's someone we should try massively to keep. I think in that league he would run riot. I think in a number 10 position he'd be very good. You look at the games against Burnley and Watford at the back end of last year. When he came on, I thought he made quite a big difference, considering we still didn't score, but we looked with much more purpose about us. And I think Casby would rip defences apart in the Championship if we utilised him properly. So for me, keep, although he's probably realistically going to go.
Yeah, I agree with the point with you, Michael. I think he realistically will go, but we should do everything to keep him. But obviously the transfer fee will dictate, that argument. But yeah, I mean, judged on what we've saw in the last, 1.5 seasons with Kasri, I think he's definitely got that scent of quality that you can rely on, I suppose, to push you up the pitch or just to give you a chance of scoring. Which I don't think many other players in our squad do. He brings that urgency to the ball. I think. I don't know what he thinks about that.
One big thing he offers, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. One big thing he offers: set pieces.
Yeah.
And nobody else in our squad does that.
Sebastian Larsson, right?
Yeah, we can mention Larsson in a minute, actually. But still, go on, Pete. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
It's Kasri.
Yeah, Kasri.
If Kasri wants to play, if Kasri wants to be here, then yeah, by all means, definitely keep him, obviously, because he'd be probably one of the best attacking players in the Championship. If he doesn't, like the rest of them, whoever doesn't want to be here can go. We don't want players like that at the club, obviously. I mean, the only way we're going to get promoted is if we have 11 players fighting for the red and white shirt. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, like Ben said, if we get a fee that I think is suitable, then yes, by all means, let him go. But if not, and he wants to be here, then yeah, easy decision to keep. But it all depends on his attitude and where he wants to play.
Fair enough. And if you're going to mention the fee, what would the minimum that you would take for him? For me, 10. Anything less than that, I wouldn't take.
Yeah. I was just say 8, 9, but yeah, 10. It's not much different, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we've got to make as much as we can if we're going to get rid of them.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, obviously enough to get someone half as good as him. I think you're going to need 10 million. Yeah.
Well, we'll come on to Watmore in a minute. So we'll try and move on a little bit. We'll come on to Watford in a moment. Watmore in a moment. But you mentioned Larsson, someone who's so fantastic at hitting the first man. So Larsson, now he's one of the. In fact, there's a couple of players who are out of contract. Obviously, we need to mention them as well. Larsson's one of them that's out of contract. I'll just condense this down here. If we were put this way, if we were in the Premier League, I'd say get rid of at all costs. If we're in the Championship as a squad player, I wouldn't be against him staying.
I would disagree. I think he's not worth our time and effort. I think he's not fit. I think that was obvious at the end of last season. He was just not fit enough to play football at that level. I think he'll be looking for a move into Europe somewhere, definitely a slower league.
Pete, what are your thoughts?
That probably sums it up. When I was watching the games last year, one of my dad's mates who I sit next to was saying Larsson played out wide right one of the games. And to be fair, he does get to the back post well. Like when the other winger crosses it in. Obviously, the winger always has to come across. In terms of centre mid, he's no way. He won't get in playing centre mid. In terms of out wide right, I don't know. He might do a job out wide, maybe. But like Ben said, his set piece is going to have to dramatically improve. He hasn't really got the legs anymore, and obviously out wide you need the legs as you do in the middle of the park. It's a hard one. Sorry, keep.
Does anyone get the feeling that somebody actually is turning into a retirement club?
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
Just this conversation, I'll tell you what, at the moment in time, everyone knows this anyway, but when you talk about it, it's not, you just don't realise how bad it is, do you? I mean, God, we need to do something now. We need to pull the thing out of the backside, because honestly, we've got a lot to do, a lot of positions to fill.
When you look at it now, it's only just over a month until the season starts, really, isn't it, in effect? Month and a half, an absolute stretch, but I think with Larsson, yeah, you're right, actually, Ben. It is probably a retirement home, isn't it? We're certainly giving players a last big payday in their careers, and we'll just get them to just not contribute anything whatsoever. Oh, something's going on here. Oh yeah, there's an interview with David Moyes. Please God, no. I was trying to get a list of the players that are out of contract and ended up listening to David Moyes for a little bit. So well, I was going to. So please God, no. You just imagine David Moyes is motivated. Say if David Moyes got the Scotland job and he just goes in like, right lads, we're shit. Don't expect to do anything. I don't have any faith in you, but go out and play for us.
You've just lost 120 subscribers by film those.
Yeah, probably. Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll quit. Right, another. There's two more. Well, three more. Right. Okay. Let's. I'm going to try and keep this one down to a simple sentence or two. Stephen Pienaar. Are we all in agreement? Safe to say, get rid of all costs.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay
Yeah,
then.
I'm of the same opinion.
Right then.
He's going back to South Africa, I think. Anyway, so yeah.
Oh well, that's a
He's
good.
already there. He's already there by his Twitter feed.
Fair enough then. Sort of. Bye bye, Stephen Pienaar. Okay then. This is one that Jan Kirchhoff. One for me. If you got him a contract on a pay-per-play basis, if you could do that, I would say keep, but otherwise no. The same reason, pretty much the Rodwell argument all over again.
Yeah, he's been released anyway, hasn't he? So.
Well, fair enough then. Ben,
Yeah.
same with Kirchhoff, I imagine.
I think the same as you too. I think what a great player I think he could be if he was fit all the time. It really makes me upset to think what a player he could be if he had.
The unfortunate fact, though, is that if he was fit all the time, would he be at Sunderland?
Yeah, he'd probably be at Bayern Munich. So,
you know, I'm not so sure about Bayern Munich, but I think he'd definitely be at a bigger club than Sunderland if he was.
It's the one player in the Sunderland team that I think, what could have been? I mean, he's a very, very good footballer, no doubt about it. But it's just he's never fit, is he? So
exactly.
Yeah, Sunderland made the right decision. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, as far as I remember, the last midfield I'm going to try and look at Duncan Watmore. Now, yeah, Pete's just pretty much said my answer for us. Keep. I think he would. I think I know he's not lightning quick like what say Van Aanholt was, but I do definitely think that he's one that we should be looking to try and keep. And I think he would again, it's the same argument again. If we were to keep him fit, I would say he would cause havoc in that league. I think if we utilised him in the right formation, I think he definitely offers something. And he's got the passion, the work rate, he's got the energy, he's got the industry, gets about the pitch, causes problems. When we had him in that formation last year, when we were winning 3 out of 4, he definitely made an impact in that side. So keep it all. I think he'd be one of the best wingers in the Championship. Easily.
I go back to the point that Pete made about Endon. I think it might be Michael and Pete there might have made the point about Endon being the most influential player we'll have next season. I think Watmore will be right up there. I think just the option he gives us. If we're back to Wolves, he can take the ball out to Watmore and he'll gain you 30 or 40 yards off the pitch just off his pace alone. I think he'll be as much as an influential player as Endon will be next year.
That's some of them. I think we're all in agreement. Keep Duncan Watmore. Come on, lads, this is going to be exciting in the Championship. I have Didier Ndong and Duncan Watmore. Then watch Sunderland go and sell them and then break our hearts in the last minute. Okay. Actually, there's one defender we forgot. This is shocking on my behalf. One defender I actually forgot to mention, who was, say, recently he wants to move back at the Premier League, but one I can see staying, Brian Oviedo. Just very quickly mention him before we try and move on to the forwards. Brian Oviedo is one that I think, again, a bit injury prone, but I do think that if we were to coach him properly and get himself back up to speed, he could be a real asset in the Championship. But if an offer of, say, 7+ million or something came in for him, I wouldn't be against the idea of selling him. But I would still keep him. I don't know what you two think.
Keep at all costs for me. I think if he one of the best left backs in the league, to be honest. Like you say, it's just keep him fit. No, the only problem Oviedo is, like I said, because he was injured, but and right back as well. Well, probably not right back. We need a backup left back. That's a priority as well as backup centre backs. But we need a backup left back. But yeah, keep it for me.
Yeah, it's a strong keep for me as well. I think Oviedo showed that he has some touches of quality last season. Certainly, when I saw him play at Crystal Palace, I thought he was
fantastic.
He was fantastic that day, and it showed that he has that inside him to go and do that. And yeah, I think it's a must keep. There's 3 must keeps in this team. It's Oviedo, Duncan Watmore, and Endon from each sector of the field. Definitely.
I'd say Catamol in. I'd say my boyfriend Lee Catamol's amongst that lot.
There's one player you haven't mentioned there that I thought you'd want to keep at all costs. I'm shocked you haven't said him actually.
Go on then. Well, actually, no. For me, sorry, I'll add Kazri into that mould. But go on.
No, I'm saying Super Julian Lescott. I mean, wow.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Right, keep Lescott all costs. Next one. Yeah, less said about that, the better. Just don't be anywhere near Sunderland ever again.
Can you imagine a back three of Lescott to the board, O'Shea? Christ.
Oh God, yeah, right. That's that then. Imagine like Britta Sombalonga and all them against that lot. It's safe to say I'll be having nightmares for days. Having nightmares.
I don't think I'd wake up to go to the stadium if that was the case.
Oh, you can get away with it. You're down in London living the high life, man. Me and Pete have to go and suffer it every week.
Hey, but I've got to travel 100 miles to get there first.
That's okay. You win. Touche. All right then. Like two more midfields very quickly, and then we will definitely move on to forwards. They're from like the under 23s and like under 23 players, but they have both featured for the first team and stuff. I'm not going to go through all the academy players because it'll take too long. Lyndon Gooch and George Honeyman. So feel free to start for either one of them.
Keep them both on the bench.
Fair enough.
I'd keep them both, but I'd start Gooch. I'd start Gooch left midfield.
I would keep the pair of them, but I would have Gooch as an impact substitution more than anything else. I think he would have a bit of fresh energy and pace later on in the game when people are getting tired. And again, I'd like to think that again, if the Stadium of Light is used properly as a fortress and teams come up here and try and defend for 90 minutes, and we obviously know not everyone's going to. There are going to be some teams that are going to come up and have a go. There might even majority of them might. But if say teams sat back for 90 minutes, Gooch could pick out gaps late on when the opposition defence is tiring. So I think Gooch could have a part to play next year. Right. Okay. Unless I'm mistaken, I heard an intake of breath there. Was one of you about to say something?
No, it's Jordan.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Do you want me to play David Moyes again to wake you up?
That's what it was.
Oh, okay, yeah. Pete's going to sleep about Davy Moyes, Super Davy Moyes. All right. Forwards, right. Let's mention. Right, by principle, I shouldn't mention this player based on what I said earlier. I think if we're going to look at players who are going to keep and go and whatnot, Jermaine Lenz. I'm going to mention. Sorry, I'm going to mention him anyway. Jermaine Lenz.
Not interested.
Yeah, I think he's made it pretty clear he doesn't want to play for Sunderland.
Fair enough.
You know what it is? I watched last night. I watched a bit. Well, the highlights of or 2 nights ago, whatever it was, Holland v Belgium, and I'm not joking. Like Lenz left Vertonghen and like talking about good defenders here. He left a couple of them for dead. One of penalty Holland scored. I mean, it does my head in. He's got all the talent in the world. He really has. But honestly, he's just not interested. He's just a typical another foreign player who hasn't got the heart to cope with the English football.
I think it's his love affair with Big Actor and soon fizzled out into that Sunderland. So I don't think he's ever had the motivation to play for Sunderland.
I'm not going to start on Dick Advocat because I'll be here for 10 minutes ranting about him. But go on.
You know when we sent all these flowers to Advocat's missus, do you actually think we're sending the Lens? I mean, bloody hell.
We're sending to Lens. Oh, please, mate, please come and play for us. We've got the bridges. We've got Roker Park. We've got Roker Beach, man. Screw London, man. Screw everything else. Screw Wembley. Let's just come into the bridges. They're absolutely brilliant.
No, get rid of him.
Yeah, get a good fee, but get rid of him. He wouldn't offer anything in the Championship. The sad thing is, if he actually gave a shit, he probably would be the best player in that league, but he just doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's the sad fact, right? Strikers now we can't really mention much here because Barini's looking set to go. Defoe's going to go by all accounts. I'm surprised he hasn't gone yet, to tell you the truth. And there's not really any other forwards that you can think of. There's only so 2 more players left by that logic. Right, again, both from the youngsters, but again, won't mention all of them because it'll take too long. Josh Meyer, I'm going to assume he might be some part of the squad, and particularly Joel Asoro. So, who wants?
I'd probably send I'd probably send Meyer out on loan, and I'd probably keep Asoro. I'm not saying I would even have Asoro on the bench. It depends. When I watched him for the 23s, I haven't been impressed with him, to be honest. I mean, he's clearly got all the talent in the world there. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff he does in the ball is brilliant, but I think he's still got a lot more development. He's only 17, 18, so he's still very young himself. But no, I'd keep the pair of them, but maybe send them out on loan, maybe. But we need a couple of strikers, that's for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I think we're going to be left short on goals next season again. for about the 7th season in a row.
Depends, doesn't it?
It depends who comes in, but I think Soro, I still think he's still off the pace, and I think Myers way off the pace of being in the first team.
Yeah.
What I've saw him at, I think he's light years away.
Yeah,
so, yeah, that's a very worrying subject up top. I think that's where we're going to have to spend our money. I think if a push comes to shove and we've got to dedicate to one area, I think without doubt that's the area we need to spend.
You need a goal scorer, don't you? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I haven't watched much of Asora or Maya, but by the sound of what you two are saying, it sounds like those two are ones that could benefit from like going out on loan and experiencing proper football, like proper men's physical football. Because under 23 level, you can only develop your process. You can only sort of you can only develop so far at an under 23 level, can't you? You need to go out and actually experience a first team game where people's weekends. I can't remember who, maybe Michael Proctor, Kevin Ball said on a podcast once that people's weekends, in some cases people's jobs depend on it. You have to have that sort of pressure about you because otherwise you're not going to really get anywhere. So I'd probably say a Soro for the bench, possibly. Maya probably out on loan. I think I probably agree with what you two pretty much have said. But Swans that could provide useful in the squad, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, guys, I think providing I haven't missed anybody, so watch me miss somebody afterwards. I think that is pretty much it. So we've actually gone for over an hour. So I'm hoping you guys have enjoyed watching the second episode of the podcast. Obviously, at this point, we still have not had any, unless there's been any developments in the last hour or so, or by the time this thing goes on YouTube, unless there's been proper developments since then, there hasn't been any developments on the owner front. So, I mean, obviously, me and Pete, you remember we talked, didn't we, about the Fulwell 73 thing, and since that podcast went up, they've pulled out of the running. So, is it, as far as you two know, is it just mainly the German consortium that's on course to try and take over the club? I don't think anybody else has been mentioned.
I know. I heard a couple of other parties are interested, but I think the German companies there at a lot more advanced stage than any other interested party. Yeah, so it looks like they're at the moment.
Yeah, I actually question why the Germans are interested, because I believe it's Deutsche Finance Group who are interested. So it'd be interesting to see what their plan would be with Sunderland.
I'm not bothered. That's absolutely minted. But
There, well, that'll go on another day. Sorry, you two might be interested in this. I've just noted Jermaine Defoe's official Twitter account. Sunderland A.F.C. put you can vote for the greatest goal ever scored at the stadium. Greatest goals ever scored at the Stadium of Light. And I think it's 20 years since we've gone into the Stadium of Light now. And Jermaine Defoe, and the person on Jermaine Defoe's Twitter account has just put, or whoever runs it for him, put, I know which one I'm voting for, and it's got like the little eyes, like that,
Yeah.
just like eyes just looking at one point. I know you two can't see what I'm doing, but the YouTube video will be able to explain what I'm doing. So who knows? Maybe there's a slight chance. No, he won't stay, will he? The one good thing about the fact, I mean, as much as my opinion on Defoe, I'll ask Ben in a minute what he thinks about this. You probably listened last week to the fact that me and Pete I was trying to explain my point why I'm not happy that Defoe's going for free, but the one advantage is that his wages will be off the books. I don't know, what are you thinking about the fact that Defoe's probably going to go for free?
I mean, I think it's a very bad thing that Defoe's going to go for free, obviously, in this current situation. Obviously, we're struggling for money, etc. But the real blame lies at whoever drew up the contract. So probably who actually brought him in? Was it Lee Congerton still there at the time?
I think it was. I can't remember if that clause came in when we got him from Toronto, or whether it was a deal that when the contract was signed last summer. And in that sense, then, I mean, I've already said last week, I've already explained my point last week, so I won't go into it again, obviously, because we're pretty much out of time. But I just think if Defoe, if we've got a bit of money for him in this situation, I think that's fair enough. And again, there will be clubs like for 5-6 million would pay that for Defoe if we had a clause like that. Whoever put it in, though, I'm sorry, I think that was a horrendously bad mistake. But we don't know what happened, so it might have been that Sunderland tried to get that contract change, and Defoe would say no. But I can't see Defoe not signing a contract where the clause is there, but you still get money for him, because we said last week Defoe knows how good a striker he is. So I think he would think himself he's worth money. Anyways, though, but that is pretty much it. So Ben, at your end of your debut, how would you say you've done? How would you say you've done on the lovely podcast?
Being the confident bloke I am, I think I've done all right. But I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with my views as usual.
Trust me, if it's anything,
everything's up for conversation now. It's a key point to start debating what someone are actually going to do. So yeah, if anyone has any questions for us, I'm sure they'll let us know.
Yeah, guys, get into the comments below and see if there's anything you want us to talk about in future episodes. But I'll say I feel like just going on like a on Total Sport here. I just like rate debutants out of 10. So I'd say Ben gave a solid 8 or a 9. Offered very good discussions. Likewise as he usually does when we talk to him off camera. So I'll just there you go. There's me in a Total Sport going. Right then, so that is pretty much that, unless there's anything to think about. So hopefully, guys, by the time we do the next podcast, we will actually have something new to talk about in terms of owners and managers, and with that becomes potential players. I will quickly mention on the very end, I've just seen apparently that Frank de Boer looks like he's at Crystal Palace. I don't know if there's someone put Crystal Palace, Frank de Boer ready to get his first transfer as Crystal Palace boss. So I don't know if that's just someone writing it up for the sake of it, but anyway, guys, well, thank you very much to Pete and Ben again. And hopefully next week, or whenever we do the next podcast, we'll have something good to talk about. So we'll love yous and leave yous for that. Thank you if you've stuck by with us for the full hour and 10 minutes. Good on you. Anyway, see you guys later, and we'll see you next time.